Now, when you're talking about Ulysses S. Grant, remember when Ulysses S. Grant won the corporate contract, no, the presidency, yes, against Horace Greeley, he modified the Naturalization Act of 1790, and this is where you see in the law books the Naturalization Act of 1870, and this is where the Europeans start calling themselves white people. Prior to that, they weren't called white people because it's a legal status that belonged to us. This is why the suppression of the 13th, the original Article of Amendment 13 and the Nobility Clause. This is what is celebrated in Philadelphia that you know as the Mummers Parade. And this is why when you do the research and you see in the early parades, you see them with dark in their faces. You see them dark in their faces in the Mummers Parade. All right, they're still in your state and your birthright. Danny, you was mentioning that some of the people wanted to ask some questions, but I would also want to take time to go into, it would be around 106, something like that. I want to deal with citizenship, expatriation. Because I also want you to see further, this is a letter to the Secretary of State of the United States, right? And this is inquiry into these matters of the status of our people. And as you already know, Lincoln did a couple of cases making a distinction between Moors and blacks, being the same blood, but different status, all right? Where blacks are property and Moors are free men, all right? That's another thing that, yeah, as a lawyer, there's another thing that got him tagged to be eliminated. Citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc. Page 459, chapter 4, temporary provisions, Morocco. So you can see that? See right there? As a matter of fact, you read it out loud. Read it out loud. That letter. From here, right here.
Perfect.
Yes.
There are, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subjects of citizenship. There are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries in the Moorish Empire, by means of which citizenship in this country is defined. But, as I understand, from the above acknowledged instructions, that is not the desire of the department to call or to report upon such lines. I will therefore confide these remarks to general conditions existing, which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. Number 1. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moroccan subject or Moorish subjects. 2 and 3. Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. It was established by the Convention of Madrid, concluded July 3, 1880, as follows. Shall I read the article?
Yeah, but you don't have to go any further. But you can see the function that the 14th Amendment, under the naturalization that was imposed, took the birthright. And as you can see, and remember, this is United States law on citizenship and naturalization. How come these black leaders won't read that?
Right.
And it says what? They got to prove that they're not Moors.
And be naturalized by
they got to prove that they're not.
Right.
You know what ipso jure means? This is what ipso jure means. Now keep it in context, and then I want you to analyze it, and I want you to comment it. Just use your intelligence.
Okay.
So now I'm going to go in the law book and look up ipso jure. Then when you see that, then you tell me what it means to you, but I'm showing you that there's no such thing as this needing interpretation. That's straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, now so I'm going to look up ipso jure, and then you analyze But the other thing that I want to say to you, when people try to act like they don't know what this stuff is, and it has nothing to do with the operations of government here, and that we're making this stuff up, you can see that they're COINTELPRO operatives. See, so once you restore the fundamentals to people, they can figure this stuff out themselves. But if they don't have these reference points, they get caught up in who they like, who they don't like, what organization they belong to, what school of thought, and they get caught up in all this gray area of arguing with each other, and they're really incompetent and don't know that they're incompetent. Do you understand? And then they get all sensitive.
About their beliefs.
Yes, yes. It's absolutely, it's
exhausting.
Really, yes. And it's shameful because we allegedly are so spiritual. Now here's ipso jure, and I want you to see it for yourself, and you read it, because you see, so it's right there at the top.
Okay.
Make sure.
Ipso jure, by the law itself, by the mere operation of law.
How direct can you get? How more direct can you get by that? By the law itself, by the mere operation of law, they're Moorish subjects.
Wow.
Does that leave a maybe in it?
No.
Is there some kind of way that you can interpret that out of it and make it be something else?
No other way you could say it in 7 different languages.
Now, and yet you have all these so-called black leaders that keep on knocking this information coming from Moors as if it's personal, we're making it up. That's that Taji guy stuff. This is United States law. Why do they stay away from that with their little groups? Do you think that maybe somebody like the Southern Christian law firms is paying them? Oh, yes.
They definitely.
Now you understand COINTELPRO operations?
They mistake that.
Meanwhile, they're scholars and they're going to tell you about the ancient gods of Egypt. Do you see the whole point? Now, of course, by our people not having this information, they're only subject to what they're hearing. And so that's the only thing they have to measure by. This is why Matheno wanted to do this again, to go over some primal points so that a lot of questions would be answered even before the people ask them, if they have primal reference points. And you may have to fill in a little bit here or there, but a child can understand this once given it to them. They just don't have the reference points, so they're what people tell them and what sounds good, and they deal with beliefs. That's why they always talk in beliefs, not facts. See, now we're dealing with facts and documents, aren't we?
Yeah.
Are they disputable?
Now we're dealing with law.
All right, and history. Now we're talking about the United States, right? Expatriation, right?
Right.
And who are they talking about? Moors. And what happens when you talk to these people and they be acting like they don't know who Moors are? Do you see the whole game?
The horse of the world knows who the Moors are.
The whole game, including these politicians, and that's United States law on citizenship. And then they try to act like Noble Drawley is making this stuff up. Do you see the problem that we have? And the only reason why they get away with it, because who's attacking us? So-called black leaders. Do you see how it works? And the people are protecting the images of their black leaders, who are clearly COINTELPRO operatives.
Since nothing is changing.
The overseer game has not ended. But if they don't have these reference points, they be thinking that we're competing. We're not competing with them, and we're not trying to knock them. We're trying to redeem our people. We're not trying to change their beliefs. We're trying to restore their estate that they don't know they have. And not being themselves in law, they're not descendable. And they don't know that because no one's teaching them about the trust or estate. They think people are colors. They're arguing colors, and the world's wondering what's wrong with them, because the estate is the issue. And their paid black leaders sitting around talking about schools of thought and debating when there even is no debate. See how those debate games are really diversions? Do you think that's really accidental? Remember, these people are scholars.
Hundreds of thousands of people every year go to school to be lawyers. Not half of them make it out of law school. Most of the lawyers that you talk to nowadays know that we're not dealing with constitutional law. They know you're dealing with how to get away with murder.
Now look up colored in the law book. In the law book, and read that for the camera. Color, then colored. And then you know that the black leaders are paid to tell these people that means the collective African, Pan-African body politic. Isn't that how they present it? People of color, isn't that right? Mm-hmm. So look in the law book and look up color, and then read the people, because our people refuse to read.
Title,
Color.
And appearance.
Read it slow so that they can understand exactly what you're saying. Go ahead.
An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum, as distinguished from which is real.
That which is, can you read that again?
As distinguished from which is real.
That which is real. Read it again. Color.
An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real.
Now, so our people think that they're getting Afrocentric and they just told the world that they what? Fake. What is that? Distinguished from that which is real, which means it's unreal, doesn't it?
Artificial.
If it's unreal, it's fake, isn't it?
People of color.
Now, they're doing that in the name of scholarship, in the name of Afrocentricity, and they're telling the world that they're a fraud. And got the children thinking that means a term of endearment. Does the world owe us tolerance for that ignorance?
No.
Now, do you understand why even people from Africa have difficulty with our people?
I do now.
They're looked at as frauds and traitors.
So many people say that. It's funny how Africans, they come over here and they hate us, so they look down on us.
Because we're looked at as traitors. They're not doing it to us, we're doing it to ourselves. Because we're telling them we dishonor our mothers and fathers. So if you dishonor your mother and father, they know that you're Moors.
They know we're related.
In blood.
I'm just talking about my aunt.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But you know, they don't like black people because that's the tag that tells who. When you're looking at African people, how can you tell the ones who are dishonored? The ones that's talking about human beings are crayons. They confess it out of their own mouth. That's why you got to take people to a ordinary dictionary and show them that they're Moors so they can stop thinking it's a belief. Then you take them to history to show them that they're documented in law. George and them, under the Moroccan Empire, and everybody talking about they don't know who the Moors are. Then take you to the charge of the affairs with the Secretary of State, even telling you how they lost their birthright.
You have to stop looking at these people as white and see the situation.
They're Europeans. Call them who they. This is back to they're doing identity theft, and we're doing identity fraud.
Yeah.
Our people assume their mindset and then in turn hate themselves in the situation.
That's why they do, because they're constantly being rejected and they don't like the feeling.
So I feel like it but it had a lot to do with segregation. We wanted to go to their schools, not just have better schools for ourselves, but we wanted to go to their schools and have their education, and in turn,
now,
became
good. Now look up color.
System.
Look up color now and read that. Right in harmony with what you're talking about right now. Color.
Okay. By common usage in
No,
America.
you gotta say the word first. Remember
Color.
proper. Yes.
Color. By common usage in America, this term and such phrases as colored persons, the colored race, colored men, and the alike is used to designate Negroes or persons of the African race including all persons of mixed blood descended from the Negro ancestry.
Keep on.
After that, it's Collins versus Oklahoma
Yeah,
State
now
Hospital.
go past the law cases because it's giving you reference so you can see it's even been determined in law. Now go to the small print
So
paragraph
down the
beneath it.
law, it says for color,
Yeah.
where a state constitution provided for separate schools for the white and colored races, the term white race was held to be limited to the Caucasian race, and the term colored races to embrace all other races. Rice versus Gong Lum. It
Continue.
has also been held that there is no legal technical signification to the phrase colored person, which the courts are bound judicially to know.
Now read that past part again.
It has been held that there is no legal technical signification to the phrase colored persons, which the courts are bound judicially to know.
So what happens? You go into court as a colored person. Are they bound to recognize you?
No.
Are they obligated to recognize you?
Automatically what?
Why? Because there's no
Yeah.
lawful.
And
There's
there's
not.
no
There's
law.
no really scientific. It's a term. It's a phrase. It's a term. It's pejorative, isn't it? Now that's law. Now, what happens if you say that to people who keep playing these Afrocentric games with our people? Won't they argue you to the ground? And start talking about that's Moorish thing and we making that stuff up? And misleading people deliberately, knowing that they are not. See, this is what these guys know. They know that the people that's following these little schools of thought don't have this information.
Then we have
So they can play them and take their finance, get them all in these emotional arguments and beat the hell up and stuff like that. So they can play these civil rights games and get paid in the background, looking like they're doing something for the people, the struggle. And it all appears legitimate on the surface, doesn't it? Until you study and find out that this is a social engineering mind control game and they've been part of it. You can see why they're upset with us and why the Southern Christian Poverty Law Firm sicked these shills on us that's located here in Philadelphia. And trying to say that we set that girl up to get her killed and all that kind of stuff. Corinne, that they assassinated.
Is that what? Okay, so
We're talking about the guy, the COINTELPRO
I just
operatives.
heard about what happened. I personally don't watch the news. I don't have cable.
Yeah,
in my
but I'm
house.
just telling you, I'm just telling
That.
you what we're discovering in the background
But I
from,
did see the video where
from
she was
information.
asking for delegation of authority.
Exactly,
Where she didn't have a right
because
to
she
their own, to her own
knew-
home against intruders.
She knew that the Pope had expunged all of their IE licenses. And the Pope owns all of the corporate entities. And then they try to make her look like she was out to lunch because they know our people don't know this. And so she was suing them, so they put a hit on her and act like she was wrong. And then they send out their black shills to muddy the water. But see, their black shills are counting on the masses don't have this information. That's another reason we're doing this, to educate the people. So they can recognize who the COINTELPRO operatives are and protect themselves. Do you understand? Because these guys seem like intelligent scholars and innocent, like they really love their people. You wait till these people find out who they really are. I ain't going to have to say nothing. People going to take care of them.
Most of the policy enforcers out here really are equally ignorant.
They're not. See, all right, let's talk this. Let's talk this. Let's talk this. Let's talk this. Let's talk this.
I did want to back up my...
I wish I had
Saying
more
that.
documents here. This is another reason why. Remember, we're talking about reference points, right, Nathaniel? And we're going to do this again in the future, you know, whether you're here or at another spot. And I'm going to bring in the oath of ethics that these people must sign.
I have
See, and this
actually.
is, you got the oath of
I
ethics?
do.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I do. I keep it in my car.
Oh, I just love
Oh, you
it.
know, we ready with the list of sheriffs, Oh, we got it all. Supreme Court
Daniel.
laws, you're talking about this?
Sister got
Right
your back.
here.
Oh, this girl. This, oh, you on to? No, I ain't gonna let you do it.
Oh.
This is wrong. Now, hold on. Now let's look at this, cuz. Now, keep this in mind. One of the reasons why we're even doing this, and I wish the brother was still here, is almost because we have to clean our misconceptions and stop making excuses for people talking about what they don't know. We're the ones that don't know. And they've been taking advantage of you consciously.
There are a lot of us.
Now, remember all of these people, cops, detectives, all these people in law and claim to be law, have to sign this to do these jobs. Now, you read that, then turn around. Now, look at you. Now, let's make two people here. You sit right here. We're going to lift spirit sister up. And spirit sister going to sit over here.
All right.
And then you talk to spirit sister. You the spirit. Now you just talk to this physical sister that keep on talking about what these people don't know. They keep effing us up, but they don't know nothing. Hold on. They don't understand. Some of those ignorant. Now, read that out, then make that statement again. Read it.
The Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
Read it again.
The Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
Can you read it again? Because we got to really, screw this down.
The Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
Continue.
As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to reject the constitutional rights and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. It continues to say, I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all, maintain courageous, calm, in the face of danger, scorn or ridicule, develop self-restraint, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and regulations of my department. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature or that is confided to me in my official capacity will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in my performance of duty. I will never act officiously. I apologize. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime, with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law cautiously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as public trust to be held so long as I am true to ethics and police service.
And they do exactly the opposite, don't they?
Every day.
And then what do people keep saying? They don't understand the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land.
I will never, it specifically said I will never allow my feelings, prejudices, or friendships influence my decisions. And we all know them to be all
And
about
what
their
happened to
friendships
anybody that
and
enforced the
influence.
Constitution? They call them troublemakers, treason, terrorists, sovereign citizens, and everything else that command their delegation of authority and their obligation to the law of the land.
That's what it says.
And then what do other people keep saying? Some of them don't know. You are saying that. However, that's an incompetent statement. And you're excusing them to do injury to people. They're not excused.
They are not.
And they do know. It is the people that don't know and keep transferring their ignorance on these people who are abusing them to excuse them in their abuse of others, right in their face.
So let me please clear up my statement by saying what I meant by
I know what
most
you
of
meant,
them are
but
ignorance
continue.
also is most of these people are also still believing that they are black as well, signing up to be policy enforcers and having
For
no
a
idea.
job.
Yes.
And even when they get in there, they start their little what? Black organizations, because they're rejected even when they get in there.
I know somebody from my neighborhood who, when all the Black Lives Matter thing started, posted all the pictures of how they were a state trooper now.
Yeah.
I guess they don't really, or do they? I'm confused.
No,
Who
you're
are
not
you?
confused. What's confusing is that we're discussing the real facts as opposed to throwing around opinions. See, this is what it's at. We get caught in trying to express our emotional opinions and thoughts in different conversations that we have with people instead of going back to the law that they're all obligated to. And then when we start seeing the contradiction, we're trying to find a comfort zone with it all. Start interjecting our biases. Meanwhile, the children are getting killed on the street. Innocent men and families are being broke up while we sit and make excuses for these criminals that are claiming to be officers when they're really gang members using the office to do what? To carry out the policies of unum sanctum for the Jesuit order in the Popes of Rome under colonial operations, pretending to be officers of law when they're actually what? Highwaymen and organized criminals.
Kidnapping people and holding them for ransom.
Death and stealing people's automobiles and stealing people's cars and stuff, and then selling them and calling it law when they're supposed to secure and protect the people's constitutional secured rights. They're actually using their gang members and networking to rob the people. And they've been robbing people so much that the Supreme Court had to close the traffic courts in Philadelphia. They just went around and used another system. You think they did that because these people don't know? And we keep making excuses, which indicates our ignorance, which means we keep condoning the injury to our own people because we don't want to face reality that these people are waging war on us. Do you understand? In other words, it's like a sense of denial because it's so ugly. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And I'm glad you had that, because it's like, this is why you got to stick with documents, because we keep interjecting our emotional thoughts. Keep your private stuff out of it. Deal with the facts. Now, this is the directions that we have to take our people in, to get them off these emotional school of thought black stuff and deal with the facts. They're not going to fix anything until they do what? Educate themselves. Now, while you're there, and this is again for the sake of the assassinated matriarchal angel liberator, Corinne Gaines, read, this is called stare decisis. This is Supreme Court law, established law of the land. Now, and this is encounter, now this is not our opinion, this is the law, for the so-called black leader shills that the Southern Christian Poverty Law Firm has set out, who they pay off, who are a couple of them domiciled in Philadelphia, and keep talking about this stuff is lunch. Now read the law.